Breaking news now, the globalists are terrified, calling for a crackdown on Bitcoin to preserve the money cartel. The Guardian reports that Christine Lagarde has now called for a crackdown on Bitcoin by using the technology behind the digital currency to fight fire with fire. The head of the International Monetary Fund said that authorities around the world could harness the potential of cryptocurrencies to help bring them under control, warning that failure to do so would allow an unfettered development of a potentially major new vehicle for money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Of course, this is always the excuse. Now, Bloomberg News reports that in his first major public speech as head of the Bank for International Settlements, Augustin Carstens argued that central banks, along with finance ministries, tax officials, and financial market regulators, should police the digital frontier. Yes, this is an actual picture of him. This is not some kind of a satire piece. He is a globalist fat cat, my friends. Now, he said that they must ensure a level playing field and functioning payment systems and to safeguard the real value of money. Take a look.
The volatility of Bitcoin renders it a poor means of payment and a crazy way to store value. Very few people use it for payments or as a unit of account. In fact, at a major cryptocurrency conference, a registration fee could not be paid with Bitcoins because it was too costly and slow. Only conventional money was accepted. To the extent they are used, Bitcoins and their cousins seem more attractive to those who want to make transactions in the black or illegal economy.
It's amazing. He's sitting there and he's complaining about Bitcoin not being fast enough. Of course, is an excuse. So joining me now with reaction to the globalist attempts to regulate Bitcoin is the trade genius himself, Bob Kudla. You can trade with him, join him at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Promo code NEXTNEWS, 50% off anything in the store for the first 15 people that join right now. Bob, the globalists are freaking out. I mean, you saw that guy. He looks like Augustus Gloop, I mean, from the classic film, you know. So anyway, Pandora's box is open. The genie's out of the bottle. Are these guys going to be able to put it back in?
Absolutely not. I laughed so hard when he said the real value of money. Since 1917, they graded the real value of money by 99.9%. These guys run a company store, Gary. They force everybody into their sandbox, and then they get to control who gets the money, who gets rich, who doesn't get rich, who gets knocked out. And now they have a competing monetary system that they can't control, and they're scared witless. And, you know, they want the whole world to come together, but there's competing interests out there. You know, the Asians aren't excited about the SWIFT system. They want their own way of doing business. This is all a European Anglo, hey, let's preserve this socialist way of doing business. And they're talking right now that if Bitcoin or the cryptos get a move, they're going to have bank runs like nobody's business, and they can't afford it. I don't know if you saw this, but the central banks from around the world own 40% of all the assets in the world. And they did it by counterfeit currency. And they're complaining about something that's essentially sound money. But they can't control it. And they're really, really worried, because what we've seen here is that when the stock market took that tumble earlier this in February, cryptocurrencies got bid, and so did gold. And what we're seeing and what we're saying at Trade Genius is that money is going to start flowing out of the financial assets, which you see as like the FANG stocks, and it's going to be moving into gold, silver, miners, and cryptocurrencies, because people are going to want something tangible to hold on to, and they're going to be moving away from this funny money that the bankers have put together. So anytime a banker squeals or a globalist squeals, you know you're buying the right asset.
Is that a reference to Pig? Pigs like to squeal. I mean, that guy looks, like he's pretty healthy there. It just blows my mind that this guy is running around the world and he's lecturing us on the true value of money. But, you know, before we went live with this interview, you and I were talking about how people could use and harness Bitcoin to exit the socialist bankers in Europe, and that's really what they're so terrified about. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, because look, cryptocurrencies are a finite asset. That means that it's called non-inflationary, and because of the way the cryptography works, there's only so many units that are available, and so you can't interject like they do in the fiat world. They can interject fake money into the system by credit. You can't do that with cryptocurrencies. So over time, it becomes like really, really valuable real estate. You can't build another block on seafront property. It's just not available, and that's how it is with the cryptocurrencies. The other thing, the nature of, and I'll use Bitcoin just as a general term for everybody, but cryptos in general, 90% of them are what's called decentralized. That means that they're not really held in one place. They're kind of like quantum computing. They're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So you can't just go in there and seize them. You personally own your cryptography key yourself, unless you give that key up and agree to the transaction. It can't be confiscated. So unlike in the past when people were fleeing Nazi Germany, they were sewing gold and diamonds into their clothing or bribing guards to get out of the country, you just simply walk out of the country and your money is with you. And it's the same thing. That money, if people start putting their cash into these crypto coins, all the Europeans are going to have, or the Americans are going to have, or the Japanese are going to have, is a whole lot of worthless fiat, and that blows it up. And so they're scared to death. And as the payment systems start evolving, and people start transacting strictly into these crypto coins, the Ponzi scheme is over. So they've been jawboning it because they really can't go in there and counterfeit it. And so that's what I'm talking about. And it's just the beginning, Gary. I mean, this whole blockchain technology, it basically pays the producers. A video serving company that shall name nameless could just decide how many users you have or how you get paid. Well, there's competing crypto video services coming out that timestamps everything, and so you have this thing called transparency versus this opaque environment that centralized databases allow people to have. When this stuff all gets decentralized and there's thousands of people looking over each other's shoulders, it's like who commits a crime, right? When everybody can see what's going on, and the bankers hate it because Wall Street and London and Frankfurt and Tokyo, those people have become extremely wealthy because they're able to steal under the guise of inflation. Mm-hmm. And when you go crypto, it's non-inflationary. You have to produce to generate wealth. You can't be what they call they call it rent seeking, but it's really being a parasite, and where you just taking a toll for just because you own the toll booth. Well, guess what? Cryptocurrencies, there is no toll booth. You go right around it. And so that's why they're scared witless, Gary.
Let's talk about where Bitcoin is now and where it's going. It's hovering around $9,000 or $10,000. It seems like it's sort of stabilizing at that point. What are the market indicators that you're looking at right now, telling you and where it's going? And when people go to TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and folks, please use that promo code on the screen, Next News, so that they know that you came from this video. You came from Next News. Bob is one of our sponsors. He supports our work here. So when you go and you learn how to use cryptos at Trade Genius Academy, you're helping this network at the same time. So Bob, tell us exactly what indicators you're looking at right now as far as where Bitcoin's going.
Yeah, so what we do is, there's four ways to really play the cryptocurrency market. One is, you heard this phrase called hodling. These are people that have a strong conviction that the fiat system is going to end and this new environment's going to take hold. I'm not speaking to those folks. You buy it, you hold it, you set it aside. And the other categories are just different levels of trading. And so what we do is that we advise, I don't use the word advise because we're not advisors. We have algorithms that that suggest that money is flowing in at these different price levels, short term, medium term, or longer term. And so right now, on a longer term trade basis, when we hit that bottom in February, we're still on a buy with that. On a short term basis, we just signaled another buy. We're what's called trending higher. And our view is as long as 8,800 holds, we're going to move back up to around 11 or 12,000. And then once that breaks out of that, that's been resistance, then we can make a move back to all-time highs. But you don't necessarily have to worry about that. Last weekend, the cryptocurrencies, on Friday morning and on Friday afternoon, we put out alerts to our subscribers that said, hey, this weekend's going to be very good to buy. And so we bought, and 15% move. You're lucky to get a 15% move in the stock market in a year. So those are the ways in which we help people, Gary. Even if it stays in the trading range, it's moving at such a range where people can make money essentially buying low and selling high. This is how the stock market should work, without all the manipulation. It's a purer market, so there's really good opportunities to make money even while we're waiting for the next move higher. And we're going to get it. You see it now. The bankers can't move the stock market up now without moving gold up, without moving miners up, and without moving cryptocurrencies up. So they're kind of stuck, and they don't want the stock market to go down because then that blows them up too. So these are the alternative trades that we think are going to outperform the market, and those are the things that we help people decide on. Hey, this is a good place to get into silver. This is a good place to get into cryptocurrencies. Here's a cryptocurrency that I think you should follow. Here's the one we think probably aren't going to make it. We're not homeboys here. There's some cryptocurrencies that people should absolutely stay away from, and there's some that are going to be absolute home runs, and we help people with that.
Now, Bob, a question here about what we've seen recently. President Trump announcing tariffs for oil. For steel and aluminum. We've seen Gary Cohn moved out of the economic advisor position. We've also seen these tax cuts starting to take hold. People are starting to get more money in their paychecks. How are you seeing these specific macroeconomic moves affecting Bitcoin and the market overall?
Yeah, so there's two markets. There's Wall Street and Main Street. I'm sure a lot of your listeners kind of understand that phenomenon. And so much money has been pushed into Wall Street through stock buybacks and just other manipulations. Now that money is starting to leak back into Main Street, and it has to. They have to have what's called velocity. Rich people don't spend enough money, so the money needs to go to the middle class, and it needs to go to the lower middle class in order to generate economic vibrancy. And Trump, I think, intuitively understands it. I think as a populist and as a nationalist, that's how he views the world anyway. So these tariffs are basically taking it out of the hide of Japan, Korea, Germany, and China, and bringing that wealth back into the country. And what's happening is because people don't make enough money, or their salaries aren't growing fast enough, the companies that are going to get tariffed aren't necessarily going to be able to pass on those costs to the end user, but people are going to get employed. And so it's just going to really help Main Street more than Wall Street, and inflation will stay contained, and you'll see GDP lift because of this. And he's just beginning. This is really going to rock and roll over the next 2 or 3 years. It is the only option available to us, short of devaluing our currency into poverty.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't want to see that happen any longer, and I want my viewers at home who are watching this right now, go to TradeGeniusAcademy.com, use the promo code NEXTNEWS for 50% off anything in Bob's store for the first 15 people that join up to get educated. Bob, it's always a pleasure having you on to demystify the markets, to help us understand what's happening right now across the globe, and especially these globalist fat cats like this guy from the Bank for International Settlements. Unbelievable, the audacity. But these are the banksters trying to circle the wagons and protect the Ponzi scheme that they've been promoting for the last 100 some odd years or more. So a new player's in town. It's called Bitcoin, and Bob Kudla will teach you how to use it. Bob, any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, Bitcoins are an extinction level event for banks. So hop on with us and make some money. And thanks so much, Gary, for having me on.
I love that extinction level event, folks. You can be a part of that, right? Go to tradegeniusacademy.com, use that promo code NEXTNEWS. First 15 people get 50% off, so do not delay. Get in on the on how to exterminate the banksters with Bitcoin. I love it. All right. I'm having too much fun here. For the Next News Network and Trade Genius Academy, I'm Gary Franchi. We'll see you at the next report. Thank you for watching that report. If you want more, subscribe to the channel by clicking on the Next News Network logo right here. And you can watch our latest news reports by clicking here. Or for the latest breaking news, click right here. Also, if you want to watch the most viral news on the channel, the news reports that Hillary and Obama hate, then click right here.